Welcome back, guys, to Ace Attorney Investigations 2, Prosecutors Gambit, where last episode, having pointed the blame at Warden Laguarde, she proclaimed that she didn't do it with her testimony, coming clean about the fact she was being threatened by Canis and being a mule for his fixer activities, with Frank Sort as her accomplice. After the debate was nearly adjourned by Gavel, Eddie Fender made the save as we heard Lagarde's truth, with the Warden revealing she knew about the small chisel when she should have had no clue about it, as we now hear her new defense. I said I questioned Knight, but it wasn't anything serious, you understand. I make a point of talking to every newcomer to our little home. Knight was no different. We just had a little chat, you might call it. And after we talked, I had him taken back to his cell straight away. The more she lies, the more thoroughly she seals her fate. So it was simply a conversation with a new detainee. That seems entirely above board. Exactly, Verity, darling. I knew you'd understand.
Objection!
Well, I don't. What proof do you have to back up your statement? I suppose we shall see, won't we, Mr. Edgeworth? You may begin your cross-examination. I said I questioned Knight, but it wasn't anything serious, you understand?
Hold it!
So am I right in assuming that you talked to Knight the night before the show? Exactly, darling. It would have been, around 3 a.m. on the 27th. 3 a.m. That falls squarely within the window of time laid out in the autopsy report. That seems rather late for a friendly chat. Wouldn't he have been asleep? Normally, yes, but if you remember, a guard was attacked in his cell. We had to examine the scene of the crime, gather information. These things take time, sweetie. I assure you he was wide awake. We all were. Regardless, I find it somewhat odd that you would choose to question him at such a late hour. Oh, you're such a tease, aren't you? Ugh. Anyway, no matter how odd you think it is, I had him brought to me and that's what happened. Must you really insist on questioning every last thing I say? Sorry, Feast, he's like a dog with a bone sometimes. I'll be sure to scold him once we're done. Though, would you mind giving us a little more info, like where you had him brought to? My office, of course. Where else? Her office, which is where we believe the body was moved from. Would you mind appending that with what you just said to your testimony? Anything for you, darling. It was around 3 a.m. the night before the show. I had them bring him to my office.
Hold it!
Remind me where your office is. You've seen the sign in the detention center corridor, I imagine. The one that says no entry. That's it, sweetie. My office is just up in there. A short walk from the holding cells. I understand that you also have access to the yard. Why, of course. That's where my gorgeous little garden is. Oh, I see where you're going with this. You're saying that's how I moved the body. You had the means and the opportunity. It's hardly impossible.
Overruled.
Hardly impossible proves nothing. You have no evidence for this assertion.
Objection!
There is no other way than that the body could have been moved.
Overruled.
Surely you haven't forgotten that it was Mr. Saint who dropped Mr. Knight's body down the well. Yes, what she said. You're miles off, Edgeworth. I probably shouldn't push this any further for now. For now? I make a point of talking to every newcomer to our little home.
Hold it!
What did you and Knight speak about? Oh, nothing much. Just some small talk, really. I asked him about what animals he liked, what his hobbies were. His hobbies? Then I imagine you talked about chess. Oh yes, I couldn't stop him talking about it, in fact. He even had a piece of paper covered with little notes about it in his cell. At least I think that's what they were about. So she's seen Knight's correspondence chess diagram. Knight was no different. We just had a little chat, you might call it.
Hold it!
How was he when you spoke with him? Oh, he was so open and honest, darling. What?
That guy, honest!
He was talking about one croissant and promoting a prawn. I suppose he must have been hungry. One croissant and promoting a pawn. It seems he spared no one from his obsession with chess. I like the one croissant though. Oh, I could do one croissant now. Yeah, one croissant. And after we talked, I had him taken back to his cell straight away.
Hold it!
If he really had gone back to his cell, he would still be alive today. You really think I murdered the poor man right there in my office, don't you? But what would my motive have been, darling? I told you, I barely knew him. I'm no angel. I had my grudges against Canis, but Knight had nothing to do with that animal.
She really does hate Canis. Warden Laguarde, I must insist you append that statement to your testimony.
I'm no angel. I had my grudges against Canis, but Knight had nothing to do with that animal. Well, they were doing correspondence chess, weren't they?
Hold it!
You say that you bear a grudge against only Mr. Canis, is that correct? No, I despise him. Coming into my prison, thinking he can do whatever he wants. But he won't get away with it. I'll clip his wicked wings if it's the last thing I do. And that awful dog of his is a menace. Completely upended the peace and quiet of my home.
She even hates his dog.
Does seem at first glance that she didn't have much of a motive to kill Knight.
But she hates Canis so much that she probably hates anyone who has anything to do with him. Thinking about it from that angle, the key to breaking her testimony will surely reveal itself. She likes to get to know all the peeps, huh? Pretty chummy prison warden, if you ask me. Chummy? She killed the man detective. Poor guy would have been in cuffs, not to mention their neck brace. He was defenseless. Warden Laguarde was the murderer. The evidence points to that conclusion and no other.
I said I questioned Knight, but it wasn't anything serious, you understand? Well, that's not what we want. We probably want the last statement because, again, we have a link being the correspondence chess.
This is where I'm suddenly horrifically wrong. But there was a link between the two. And you even pointed out in your testimony as well, to be totally honest with you. Objection!
Judge Gavel, I'd like you to take a look at this. Notes about a game of chess. What is the significance of this, Mr. Edgeworth?
It was found in Knight's cell, which is exactly where you said you saw it too, Warden Laguarde. But you didn't just see this game in Knight's cell, did you? You've seen it in Mr. Canis's cell too.
What do you mean?
Objection! Oh, come now. Don't tell me you haven't taken a look at the chessboard in maximum security. I imagine you watch his every move like a hawk. Or rather, I imagine you feel that doing so is your only option.
She wants to find out who his cronies are, right?
Personally interrogating your own prisoners is highly irregular, to say the least. But as you said, Mr. Canis had threatened you. You put your precious home at risk. That's why you took it upon yourself to question him. You wanted to find out who his dogs were.
And so what if I did?
You also told us you read his letters, which means you must have known about one key fact. You knew he was playing correspondence chess.
Nah!
And then who would appear but Knight, carrying with him a diagram of a very particular game. We ourselves used that diagram to infer a connection between the two men, and it seems you came to the same conclusion. But in your fear, you took your reasoning one step further. You surmised that Knight was Mr. Canis's henchman, sent to kill you. Which is the real reason she had that chat with the Bronxster. His boss wouldn't crack, maybe he would. And when you questioned Knight, you made another discovery. But there inside his chess set, you found a hidden chisel.
The murder weapon itself!
As far as you were concerned, that chisel meant one thing. Canis. Plus, you convinced yourself that Knight was working for Canis, and that is why you killed him. I see you have no more excuses. Judge Gavel, your verdict, please.
Much as it grieves me, there would appear to be little room for doubt. I hereby give my verdict. Bronco Knight was murdered by... In the name of the goddess of justice, who is it this time? Warden? It's a joke. It's all a big stupid joke. You people just don't get it, do you?
I think we've proven that it's you who didn't understand things correctly.
Me? Please, darling. I understand it all perfectly well, thank you very much. And I understand that there's a glaring contradiction in your theory, Mr. Edgeworth.
You're just grasping at straws now. I have no time for this, Your Honor. The verdict.
Overruled.
I am curious to hear what the Warden has to say.
What?
You're a dull Verity. I just have one last thing to say, then Mr. Edgeworth can declare himself the winner.
You rang? Useless guy.
Does anybody remember a certain autopsy report? Of course, we received the finalized version only this morning. That's right, and I was listening to what you told us about it, Verity, even if nobody else was. You said the wound was 4 inches deep. 4 inches? Wait. Riddle me this, Mr. Edgeworth. How does a tiny chisel make a 4-inch wound?
No!
Forgive me, oh goddess. I came perilously close to making a terrible mistake. Looks like your theory is the one that doesn't hold water, Edgeworth. What now, huh? What do we do?
It'll be fine. Mr. Edgeworth always comes through. Right, sir? Could it be during the fall? The way that he was weighted onto the rope? Looks to me like the Multitron's out of commission. You're an attorney too, aren't you? Why don't you do something? Turn things on their head with a desperate bluff. Blurt out the first mind-blowing thing that comes to you. Look, detective, I'm as much of a man of action as the next guy. But without evidence, we're up a creek without a paddle here. This might be the end of the road.
Can't give up now. We have to do something.
I'm certain that Warden Laguarde is the killer. It's the only explanation that fits the facts of the case. But if the chisel wasn't the murder weapon, what other bladed weapon is there here in this facility? There's even more chisels. There's the stake. There's the hook that we found in Workshop A that could have been used. Maybe he was hung on a hook before falling down. I don't know.
It seems we still do not have all the answers, nor the evidence to provide those answers. Alas, we must wait until the trial to see this matter resolved, I'm afraid.
Objection!
Ah, come on, G. You're just giving the killer a chance to destroy the evidence.
Overruled.
Are you calling the judicial process into question, Mr. Fender?
No, not me. No, I tried, Miles. Any bright ideas? What is the real murder weapon, since it's clearly not the chisel? Confound it, this question throws everything we've deduced out of the window.
Nothing to add, Mr. Edgeworth. Allow me to remind you that claims not supported by sufficient evidence are subject to the harshest penalties.
It's hopeless. I can't think of anything. I need more time. Loath as I am to admit it,
You can't give up now. Remember what Mr. Fender said. Simeon's counting on us. Without us, he's... Remember how upset he was? He was devastated.
Nobody's in more pain than him over Mr. Knight's death.
There's no way he did it. But if we can't save him, who will? And what's more, he believes in us. He's sitting in that cell waiting for us to bring him some good news. And I, for one, won't walk away until we have some.
Okay. Gee, Miles, your little buddy there's quite the motivational speaker. She's right, too. When you find yourself on the ropes, finger your client. Picture them pleading with you to help them. Doesn't that make you want to fight back as hard as you can until the very end? Think of your old man, good old Gregory. No matter how bad things looked, he'd always find a way to turn it around and save his client. And you're just like him, right? If there's any way to force a turnabout here, you're the one who'll find it. Simeon's counting on you. Judge Gavell.
You seem to have recovered your composure, Mr. Edgeworth. But if you mean to attempt a defense, I would advise you to consider the ramifications. You have repeatedly proposed misguided theories and have made numerous false accusations. If you do so again, I will have no choice but to judge you unfit to serve as a prosecutor and relieve you of your badge for good.
She's right. I have put forward a number of theories that prove to be flawed in one way or another. Have I made some sort of fundamental oversight? Wait, she said my theories were misguided. Nothing to say, then the court will tolerate no more of your time wasting. I hereby...
Sir!
Mr. Edgeworth! Give my verdict.
That's it. I've been thinking about it the wrong way all this time. My theories weren't misguided. I was being misled.
The defendant, Simeon Saint...
I think it's a little soon for that, Your Honor.
I say it's well past due, darling. Wouldn't you agree, Verity? Mr. Edgeworth, you may proceed.
What? I'd like to remind you of a few things. The sighting of his dog, Helmet, the fact that he wasn't at the show. These and other factors made Mr. Canis the obvious suspect at first.
Overruled.
This again, Mr. Edgeworth. You seem almost proud of your blunder.
Hold it!
But what if the real killer wanted us to suspect Mr. Canis? What if it was all carefully arranged? And what if the same was true of the Chisel, our purported murder weapon? The knight had been stabbed multiple times in the same place with a bladed instrument. What if he was stabbed with a chisel after the real murder weapon had been removed? Just to leave traces of blood on it for us to find. That was how the killer misled us into thinking the chisel is the murder weapon. But why mislead us in this way? Why indeed? Why make us think the chisel is the murder weapon rather than whatever was really used? Because it was in order to get rid of Canis. Pretty much. Warden, you took advantage of what the chisel seemed to suggest.
What it suggested? What are you talking about, darling?
Hold it!
Mr. Winner, if I were to tell you the murder weapon was a chisel, what would you think? That Mr. Canis is the killer? And there you have it. That was the trap the Warden set for us.
Oh, Mr. Canis has a bunch of chisels, so she wanted us to think it was one of his, right?
Indeed. That was her plan right from the start. To frame bodied harmer Canis.
Your reasoning would appear to be sound. Warden Laguarde certainly seems to harbour a deep and abiding hatred for Mr. Canis. However, I think you know what I'm going to say next. That alone is not sufficient proof that Warden Laguarde is the killer.
I knew that wouldn't be enough. There's only one thing that will prove it. The real murder weapon that we now know must exist.
If you cannot prove your theory, then this conversation ends here.
Objection!
If we could just find the real murder weapon.
Objection!
How many times do we have to go over this? We searched the prison from top to bottom.
Eustace is quite correct. No other possible murder weapon has been found, so I'm afraid you're at a bit of an impasse.
Objection!
I can still prove my case yet, Your Honor, because it's still here inside this prison. This would have made sure of that. The security gate! I'm glad you at least remember what it is. And you remember what it does. Of course I do, I'm not an idiot. The security gate detects metal. Which means you can't bring anything metal into the prison or take it out. Oh! I mean, I think I could yee over the wall. Precisely. If there is another murder weapon, it cannot have been taken off the premises. Maybe it's on top of the roof there.
But nor can it have been brought into the prison in the first place. And so we find ourselves right back where we began.
And Judge Gavel.
What I am trying to tell you, Mr. Edgeworth, is that if you wish me to believe that there is another murder weapon here in the prison, you will also have to explain to me how it got here.
All right. We know that the chisel was smuggled into the prison inside a pocketed chess set. But our contention is that the chisel is not the real murder weapon. So if the weapon came from outside the facility, then there must have been a way to bring it in.
Yes, the question of the hour is, can you show me this alternate route?
How did the weapon Warden Laguarde use to get into the prison? You borrowed evidence from the police to help with your investigation, is that correct? Okay, game.
Why, yes, sweetie. Everything related to Canis is with me now. Heaven knows how many times I've hauled the secretive scoundrel into my office to talk to me.
Of course, that's how!
The fact that this is here with us shows how a bladed object could have been brought into the facility as well. I think, considering its evidence... Which one of it? Only 2 such bells exist. One is attached to Helmet the dog, the other to Canis' knife, which was seized by the police during his arrest. This has a small bell attached to it. So you kind of think like, okay, one of them was seized by police, the weapon was, the other's on the dog. The weapon is evidence, shouldn't be in the prison, was brought into the prison. The bell ended up on here. So it's probably this versus this, but it could be either or. But I'll go with that because of the description.
Take that!
Allow me to remind you of our conversation with Mr. Canis yesterday. Yes, it was but one of my bells. One of only 2 in existence. Just 2. 2 and only 2. One for my knife and one for my beloved helmet. Exquisitely crafted. Utterly unique. My ears are my guide, after all. And I must be able to use my tools. Precisely. Of course, as you said, the knife has long since been taken from me. So you see, there is a way for objects to be brought into the prison unscrutinized, as part of the evidence Warden Laguarde borrowed from the police. What? Mr. Canis' knife was part of the evidence in the case against him, and that evidence was here in the prison. Not only that, but the knife had a certain bell attached to it. The bell that was attached to the chisel! Correct. The killer took the bell from the knife and attached it to the chisel. That can't be right. The chisel only had Mr. Knight's fingerprints on it. Easy enough to explain if the killer wore gloves. She made it look as if the chisel was the murder weapon and then attached the bell to it. In so doing, she made sure that all the evidence pointed to Mr. Canis. And who had access to the evidence from which the bell was taken? Why, only the person to whom it had been entrusted.
Who was it, sir? Who's been messing with the evidence?
I believe that would be you. Isn't that correct, Warden Laguarde? The bells aren't exactly rare, you know. Anybody could have set that up.
Objection!
Unluckily for you, that isn't quite true. These particular bells are unique because there are only 2 of them in existence. What? By attaching the bell to the chisel, you as good as declared yourself the killer. But you don't have any proof that the knife was ever here, even here to begin with.
Hold it!
I don't. Not yet, anyway. Mr. Winner, I'd like you to order another search of the prison right away. Huh? But if you do find something, that's going to make things awkward for me. This isn't about what's convenient for you. You have to find the truth. You're a prosecutor, aren't you? Well, yeah, but you know. This worthless excuse for a prosecutor. If I had investigative authority, I wouldn't be sitting on it. Anyhow, it's not my decision to make. The warden would have to authorize it. You know full well that she will do no such thing. You have the power to insist on a search. Use it. Sorry, darling, but not without that evidence. The goddess of justice cannot bestow her blessings on those who lack the proof to support their claims. Our work here is done. The rest of this matter will have to be settled in the courtroom. Gumshoe? No, if we give Laguarde the opportunity, she'll destroy whatever evidence is left. I have to object. I have to stop them. But what do I say? I don't have anything concrete to offer. What am I thinking? I'm never this reckless. No, I can't back down now. I've got to put everything on the line. I'm not a prosecutor right now. I'm an associate attorney with a client to defend. Only I can save Mr. Saint, and that means... Even if my chances are 1,000,000 to 1, it's still worth a shot. It's now or never. Should I object? I suppose this must be how a certain serial bluffer always feels. Yep, this is the way. Regardless, I cannot walk away.
Objection!
Wait, Your Honor. This had better be good, Mr. Edgeworth. I've got it. Got what exactly? The real murder weapon, of course. I know where Mr. Canis' knife is. Do you really, Mr. Edgeworth? I do. Not at all. No, I do.
If I did not know better, I would say that you were bluffing.
You wound me, Your Honor. I don't know the meaning of the word. This is terrible for my heart.
There's no way you could...
It's not here, I tell you. Well, if that tells you anything.
Well, would you be so kind as to enlighten us? Where's the real murder weapon?
Think, Miles, think. Somewhere not even the police would search. A blind spot in the zoo. A hiding place that the Warden could be absolutely sure of. A hiding place. No. If you insist. Come on, Helmet. Open up. Yes, game. Did she use the same trick? No, that's ridiculous, isn't it? But the more I think about it, how many foolproof ways to evade detection could there be?
Mr. Edgeworth, how long do you intend to keep us waiting?
There's the faintest possibility I'm right, but if I'm wrong, we stand to lose everything. Your Honor, this is where the real murder weapon is hidden. Do you want me to be exacting with this?
Take that!
Here, in the yard?
Indeed.
I don't believe I understand. Would you care to explain a little more? Where exactly is the real murder weapon hidden?
Do you want me to be exact? Like, very, very, very exact.
Take that!
Of course. That's what it must have been. Huh? What's the matter, Detective?
It's the metal detector, sir. It's reacting to the alligator.
What?
How?
The metal detector was reacting to something inside her after all. Your Honor, I'd like to remind you of this piece of evidence.
The chisel?
Didn't we just figure out that isn't the murder weapon? You might recall that Mr. Canis hid his chisel in his dog's mouth. Would you believe that the real murder weapon was hidden in much the same way? That's right! The murder weapon is hidden inside the alligator in that pond over there!
What?
No way! We detected the presence of a metallic object during our earlier investigation. Judge Cavell, we need to know what's inside that alligator.
Understood. Then we will need to summon a veterinarian.
And someone with a trank gun, please.
I'm sure you can get the little sweetie to open up for us. I'd be happy to give it a try.
Please, by all means, don't lose your hand. What? Warden Laguarde, the real murder weapon is about to be revealed. Why not do the right thing and confess? I have nothing to confess. As you wish, then you can simply wait and watch as your lies are exposed.
Sir, we got it.
That has to be it.
It's over, Fifi Laguarde. The real murder weapon was bodied Harmer Canis's knife, making you the only person who could have killed Bronco Knight. I'm not the criminal here. This is all Canis is doing. I did the right thing. Knight was a threat. He was Canis's lapdog. Curse that despicable man, Canis. Why did he have to come and ruin my perfect little home? We could have been happy forever if it wasn't for him. He ruined my paradise on Earth. He ruined everything. Curse him. Curse that pitiless butcher. That awful, terrible, despicable man. Curse him. You gotta commit. Like you're about to be committed. What the crap? Oh, okay. What? It was a colony? Are you constantly spraying yourself with perfume because otherwise you just constantly smell of whiffy animals? I don't know. What? Sorry, I can't read the sentence because I'm trying to work out if the forensics guy has like a lisp or something. Prosecutor, winner, sir. The test results have just come back. Twinner, I guess we've all been under a lot of stress. Traces of Bronco Knight's blood were found on Mr. Canis's knife. It's just like you said, sir. Congratulations on a stunning victory. Thank you, officer. Excellent work. You can continue complimenting me if you like. Yes, sir. Twinner wins again. I think I'm welling up a little. Hey, look, you found your gumshoe. With rage. Excellent work, Eustace. Just a few loose ends to tie up and we're done. What are you talking about? I just solved the case, didn't I? We have yet to confirm whether or not Knight really was working for Mr. Canis. It would be vital to know if Warden Laguarde was simply jumping to conclusions on that front. There's Clueless, and then there's you. Well, then I guess we better get back to our investigation. All right, officer, you with me? You're about to see the winner win a whole lot more. Prepare to witness first-rate investigative talent in action. Yes, sir. I'm right with you, sir. Can't wait to watch your work. It's winning time! I expect this case will cause quite a stir. The attempted murder of a president is news enough, and now his would-be assassin has been murdered. But Knight never sought to kill the president in the first place. The truth is not always as important as it might seem, Mr. Edgeworth. In the eyes of both society and the law. How can you even say that? You do not have to believe me. However, as a prosecutor, Mr. Edgeworth is obliged to accept that this is the reality of the world he operates in. Being a prosecutor is about more than proving people guilty. That's what I believe. We are all free to believe as we choose, but the law is not to be toyed with for our own personal goals. If you refuse to accept this, then you must prepare to suffer the consequences.
What does that even mean? Wait, you're not going to take his...
I'm afraid I must be going now. Farewell, Mr. Edgeworth.
Judge Gamel is right. There must be only one set of laws for everyone. But if following the law means sacrificing the truth, can I really do that in good conscience?
Simeon, you're out!
Hi, Regina.
Is everything alright? They did let you out, right?
Yeah. But I'm so confused about what's going on. Some guy just came and said I was free to go, and that I had Mr. Edgeworth to thank.
You sure do. Mr. Edgeworth found out who the real killer is.
Wow, really? You did that for me, Mr. Edgeworth? Oh no! No! Stop staring at me like that! I'm innocent, I swear! Don't pull the rug out from under me now!
Stop it, silly. It's true. He saved you, so say thanks already.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Thank you.
And a great big Regina Berry thank you from me too!
Mr. Saint talking directly to me. Small victories, I suppose. Can I just ask one question, Mr. Attorney? Sure. I'm not actually an attorney, though. I thought Bronco was my friend. No, my best friend. I trusted him, but now... Well, it's just... I never knew. I never would have believed that he could hate somebody enough to want to kill them. If he kept something like that from me, then he never really trusted me, did he?
That's not true, Simeon. Of course he trusted you.
No, he didn't. If he just told me, I could have stopped him. I could have told him that hate never helps, that he had to let go of all that stuff. Mr. Saint, I think you're forgetting something. I should show him the thing that proves Knight trusted him. He trusted you to ferry contraband in. That's for certain. And no one else, so... maybe it's that.
Take that!
It's the chess set I brought for him. It's pretty much your only link evidence as well. Knight had hidden a chisel inside. I imagine he meant to use it to escape. What? You mean he was using me? No, he believed in you. He knew he could count on you to bring it, and that you would never be so untrusting as to look inside. I imagine that by not telling you, he was hoping he could keep you from getting caught up in this mess.
Oh! But Bronco! Why didn't you tell me?
At least you understand now, right, Simeon? I'm sure he does. He may not show it, but Simeon's no dummy. A good night's sleep and he'll be completely over this whole thing by tomorrow.
That's not as complimentary as you think it is.
I'll try. I have to, for Bronco. I have to show him I can become the best animal trainer out there.
That's the spirit. Animal trained? Instead?
Oh, I almost forgot. We're doing a new show soon.
I'd love it if you could come by, Mr. Edgeworth. I'll be joining Regina on stage for this one.
That's right. The very big circus is the biggest, most fabulous event in town. You'll have oodles of fun. Sounds great, doesn't it, Mr. Edgeworth? Come on, we have to go.
Well, I'll think about it.
All right, Simeon, we've got some training to do. I think it's time you and Regent got acquainted.
What? Regent the tiger? No way, I can't. No.
Oh, you'll be fine, silly. You'll never meet a nicer kitty cat.
I can't. Please, Regina, anything but that, please.
Another satisfied customer.
Well, that was really something, Smiles. Talk about pulling it out of the bag.
I couldn't have done it without you, Fender. Without your timely intervention, she would have gotten away. Besides, I have you to thank for even being able to investigate the case in the first place.
Oh, stop it. Pat me on the back any harder and you're going to make me blush or topple over.
I suppose it would be asking too much for you to take this seriously.
Seriously, Miles, my friend, I'm always serious. Anyway, how does it feel to save an innocent client? That's what it means to be an attorney, after all.
To be an attorney.
Gotta say, I had a blast. Reminding me of the good old days. Like Gregory was standing right there beside me. It's been like a zillion years since I felt this warm and fuzzy on the job.
That's good. Bittersweet? I'm not sure.
Say, Miles, you ever thought about going into the defense game full time?
Excuse me?
You know, pick up where Gregory left off. Get out there and actually help people. Hey, pal, don't get any big ideas. Mr. Edgeworth ain't about to switch sides. Why not? Coming over to the light side's all the rage. Everybody's doing it these days.
Come on, Mr. Fender. You know it's not about that.
Chill, team, chill. Don't get it twisted. I was just asking a perfectly innocent question.
No, you weren't.
Bet you were. Looks like you've got a mean defense team there yourself, Miles. Fender, I'm a prosecutor. Yep, and I'm an attorney. You could be one too. I'm serious. Well, I've said my piece. You change your mind, you know who to call. I'll be waiting.
Follow in my father's footsteps. Could I really do such a thing?
I'm going to become a defense attorney just like my dad.
An attorney, like my father. Me.
Ooh, what a bombshell to end on. A thought of a career change? For a certain Miles Edgeworth?
Well, to be honest, if he's seeing flaws in the system, isn't it more of a basis that he would be like, there's someone already in that spot that I trust?
But at this point, I guess he wasn't in that spot. I don't know.
Timelines. All the cases take place in different places, if you know what I mean. A lot of times, sometimes cases take place well in the past. They're not necessarily in a straight order in a game, except for this one by the look of it. So, will that order keep on keeping on? We found our next murderer of our previous murderer. Will our murderer get murdered next chapter? Again? Will the chain just keep on going? What other links to a bigger case that seems to be this game's structure thus far have already been made? I guess we'll find out. To be honest, I don't think that Canis's story is over just yet.
Because that's in Miles' past that hasn't been mentioned, stuff like that. We've got a lot to think about, a lot to see, a lot to come. Because we've got more cases. We've only done 2. So with that said, and with that done, I save my game yet again. And I ask you to join me for the next episode of Ace Attorney Investigations 2, where we'll be starting a brand new case. Until then, I say bye-bye.